Welcome back to the Uncensored Voice. This is Randolph Macias, your host. Today we have Bexar County Court Judge candidate Nathan Buchanan, Republican. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
We appreciate your time and also to Dos Hermanos Cafe for letting us use their space.
Yeah,
very
awesome.
generous.
Thank
That's
you.
Part of what makes San Antonio a great place to live.
Exactly.
So let's just get right to the point. You're running for Bexar County Judge, right?
Exactly. Sure.
So when is the voting? When is it, early voting and election day?
The primary is March 1st.
Primary, I'm sorry. Yeah, we're starting off primary first. Because we have 5 candidates in this race, right?
Correct.
So we have yourself, we have Trish DeBerry, we have 2 others, a mayoral staff candidate, and I think somebody in the Texas House, I think his name is Ina. And then we have Judge Peter Sakai, 225th District Court, running on the Democrat side. Judge Nelson Wolf has been in office now for 21 years. Okay.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yes, it has. So now the citizens of Bexar County have the option to decide who they want the torch to be passed to, because that is our right as Bexar County citizens. And so glad you're stepping up to the plate to see what we can do to make a difference here in Bexar County. Did you vote for Donald Trump?
Absolutely. I did.
What do you admire about President Trump?
I see a lot of myself in him, actually. He's someone who, if somebody tells him no, he's going to find a way to make it happen. I've been told no a lot, and I always find a way to go around it and make it happen. Obviously, if it's a no for a good reason, for certain reasons, but then I'll leave it alone. But if someone tells me no, I like to push forward and I like to push through and make things happen. I like to go against the odds, and that's exactly what President Trump did when he announced that he was going to run. He went against the odds. Everyone was laughing at him. When I first heard he was going to run, I was like, wow, okay, this is someone I might go for.
I want to get to more substantive and relevant. Why are you running for Bexar County Judge?
One of the main reasons is I wasn't happy with what I was seeing coming out with the current county judge, with Nelson Wolf. There was a lot of people that weren't happy with him when COVID started and with his response. The lockdown started. A lot of businesses, were told to shut down, and ours was one of them. And a lot of businesses were affected by that. And some recovered, a lot of them didn't. I mean, you drive down a lot of streets in San Antonio or even out in Bexar County, and what was once a thriving business that used to have cars packed in the parking lot are now empty parking lots, and the business is shut down. And that's sad to see. That's horrible. And I mean, I think certain places in this country proved that we didn't have to lock down. Some places in this country didn't lock down at all. They didn't implement any types of mandates.
Was Florida one of those states? Or was it another state?
I believe Florida was one of them, or they had a semi-mandate or something to that effect.
Okay.
But I know South Dakota was one that
Christine Nome, governor's.
Exactly.
So that state never had it, never did anything in response to it.
She left it up to the
business as
people.
usual the whole
Exactly.
time?
She left it up to the people to decide what they wanted to do and how they should proceed, as far as being with a mask on or no mask, as far as getting a vaccine or no vaccine.
So her constituents decided what they wanted to do,
Exactly.
and she respected their wishes. And
Exactly.
And then, as a result, the state of South Dakota is doing just fine.
Exactly. And they actually had some of the lowest numbers from what I've researched. They've had some of the lowest numbers of COVID in their entire state.
Per capita. It's a less popular state than Florida, but
Yeah.
Florida is also the least affected by COVID right now as well. And here in Texas, we got multiple elections on, and we got a governor running for re-election. I think he's doing a good job, but there is another name in that race.
Yeah.
But that's for a different subject. But why your opponent, your conservative opponent, why do you think that Trish DeBerry is so inaccessible? I myself have tried multiple times to call her office, not even about this, but even about something else, about an issue with this guy named Jared with the Black Rifle Coffee Company. I've seen her in person multiple times, and she would tell me yes and take pictures with me. And But I call her office and I got a hold of Chief of Staff Thomas Marks, and he just happened to answer the phone. Other than that, it was just secretaries and me leaving messages. And I thought, okay, well, now I got the guy on the line who can actually make it happen.
Yeah.
He told me that she's very busy, but we'll see if we can fit you in. And he said that in a way that was a little
comical.
Yeah, he kind of laughed me off
Yeah.
essentially. Like I felt like, you know, I'm way down there, and like maybe she and he think that they're way up there. But so I never got a hold of her for that or anything else. So I just gave up because it's practically like beating a dead dog.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm going to have any luck reaching out to her for this one, even though I would be a constituent in this case. But why do you think she's so inaccessible? Is there something that she's trying to hide?
Well, you referred to her as a conservative opponent. I don't consider her conservative at all. She even came out publicly and stated that she's not a fan of Donald Trump. I mean, it made the news and everything. There's video of her, there's audio of her saying this. There's even reports in the news of her saying that she wouldn't be a fan of Donald Trump or intimate with him if she had to work with him, something like that. And so by her saying that, I mean, that was a Republican president at the time. That was a conservative president at the time. And by her saying that I mean, that tells me everything I need to know. I know a lot of people don't like Donald Trump because of his demeanor, or they don't like his tactics or the way he approaches things. And that's what I like about him. And that's how I say we kind of are the same.
He's not a politician.
Exactly. I'm not a politician. Actually, out of everyone running, I'm the only one that has no political ties to anything. I'm the only one that's not taking in big donors or big money coming in from the establishment and stuff like that. I'm the only one that can say, you know what, I can sleep peacefully at night knowing I owe nobody any favors. No one, my immediate opponent, Trish DeBerry, can't say that. She brought in almost $500,000 just for Precinct 3 alone. I want to see how much she brings in this time. And I just released a video also on my Facebook page where she's doing an interview, I believe with Sarah Lucetto, and she said she wants to see contribution limits here in Bexar County. She says that, then she goes and brings in almost $500,000 in contributions. You know,
how does she have so much access to big-time donors?
Exactly, because she has
a lot of money.
she has political connections. She's had political connections for years. I mean, you can connect the dots, and it's not hard to follow.
Now, you mentioned Sarah Lucero. Was Trish DeBerry in the local media at one time?
I believe she was. I want to say she was at KSAT. Don't quote me on that, but I want to say she was at KSAT before.
Okay.
But she has friends in the media. That's why she's all over the media all the time, and they give her the spotlight. And even certain journalists have made it appear as if I'm the only one, or if she's the only Republican running, and that's not right.
That's another question I wanted to ask you, because Marion Stanko, I think, had declared publicly that Trish DeBerry was the only conservative candidate running for Bexar County Judge. Now, did she say this before or after you had declared your candidacy?
She said it after Trish filed. I filed about maybe a month before Trish did. So not a full month, maybe about 3 weeks before she did.
So odds are Marion knew, because of all that time before, that you actually did file long before Trish did.
Exactly.
So,
and I've been on the campaign trail for about 6 months now. So, I mean, and Trish DeBerry just came out literally a couple of weeks ago when she...
I saw that video. I think it was on the news of there's a door opening and she walks in. Marion's there giving her some type of oath or something.
Which she didn't do for me, but... she didn't give me the oath. She didn't do anything. She just signed the papers, whatever.
And be on your way, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's notable to mention that all of San Antonio saw this too. The person opening the door for her was Greg Brockhouse.
Yeah, so I saw that.
I'm trying to find out if there's a connection with maybe that's why Greg Brockhouse hasn't said that he says it's a personal issue for him to discuss about if he voted for Donald Trump. Now, most people that voted for Donald Trump are not ashamed to say it.
Yeah.
They're very excited. They're fired up, as a matter of fact. And with Greg, you just don't get a response. You get a non-response. He's not going to say yes. He's not going to say no, because maybe he's playing both sides of the aisle for all we know. I have no idea. But he tried to get out of the camera shot as soon as he realized he was on camera.
I saw that he jumped back behind the door.
He sure did. So I'm wondering if something's going on there as far as some political.
I don't think anyone. I mean, if there is, excuse me, there's probably a handful of people that know it. I mean, everyone can make speculations right now, and there's a lot of them floating around.
Oh, those speculations. are actually decision points that voters make to vote for somebody, though.
Exactly.
So, I mean, they may be speculative, but that's all a voter needs sometimes. Sometimes they will pay attention to the facts, and I don't know if they just see something, like if I see that person, maybe they're associated with them, I'm not going to vote for them.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people in the Bexar County GOP and fellow conservatives that probably would not like to connect Greg Brockhouse with anything, conservative.
Yeah. Well, I've gotten quite a few calls and emails and messages, excuse me,
Sorry.
since she filed, and people that were voters of hers and supporters of her when she ran for Precinct 3 commissioner, and they said they're not going to vote for her again because she left them. Right. She left. They voted for her to stay in there for 4 years and do a job for 4 years, and she hasn't even served 1/4 of her term yet. She's announcing in the 11th month that she's going to resign already. Which, by the way, Nelson Wolff is keeping her on commissioner's court, which I think is a conflict of interest.
Now, shouldn't that seat be vacant technically?
Exactly.
Once she declares, so
it should.
She's kind of doing both at the same time, and that's not kosher.
To me. I mean, if it's not an actual Texas Ethics Commission violation, then it's a moral violation. I mean, where are your morals at? There's a law for it. Follow the law. And that tells you exactly what kind of person she is, and that's probably why she can't be. That's why she can't be reached.
I thought the seat was officially vacant, but it's not, right? She's still holding.
She's still there right now, and
and she wants us to vote for a Bexar County Judge candidate, even though she's a sitting commissioner.
As she makes the rules, they make the rules as they go, basically.
Yeah,
and the fact that Nelson Wolff is keeping her next to him, close like that, I mean, that kind of tells a lot. Also, if you want more of the same, vote the same. That's how I find myself saying that a lot.
Well, yeah.
So I mean, I'm not a fan of what's going on. When the Precinct 2 ex-constable Michelle Vela had just announced on the TV, she said, "I'm going to run for sheriff." She didn't file anything; nothing was official. She just said, "I'm going to run for sheriff."
Immediate declaration.
And the next day, Nelson Wolff and the district attorney, the sheriff, everyone was doing a press conference, putting out an application for people to start filling out so they can appoint somebody to that position.
Oh, so they.
And so, I mean, why isn't the same happening with Trish DeBerry? She actually filed with the Secretary of State the actual paperwork. She paid the fee to get on the ballot, and she's allowed to stay on the court for however long until they find someone. That's not how it works.
I think it should be vacant in the best interest of Bexar County and its integrity.
Exactly.
And that's my personal opinion. But like you said, if it's not illegal, then it's immoral.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of reasons. I mean, you asked why she's not reachable, and I think she's not reachable. I mean, if you have a check for $10,000 for her, she'll be reachable. I guarantee that. Right. But I've been messaged by tons of people. I've been called by tons of people. My cell phone's on the back of my cards. On every single card I have to hand it out thousands of them. Right. And I'm reachable anytime. I have nothing to hide. If you want to talk to me, call me. I stay up pretty late. If you want to call me late at night, call me late at night, and we'll have a conversation. But I guarantee you she's not going to give out her cell phone number. I guarantee you she's not going to return calls. I've tried calling, even before I announced that I was going to run. I've tried having a sit down with her as a commissioner because I have some legitimate concerns about Precinct 3, which is where I live, inside Precinct 3. And I was unable to get a hold of her.
There's a non-response as a constituent as well?
Exactly.
I thought maybe because I was a constituent, I was like lower on the list. But if you're saying you live in that district and she's not response to you.
Then I've reached out to her as a candidate also before she even announced that she was going to run.
In good faith.
In good faith. And she didn't respond back to me. I had someone else even reached out to her for me, and he told me, he's like, she doesn't want to talk. And I'm like, so I don't have a check for her. I'm sorry.
Well, Thomas Marks, her chief of staff, which I presume is still her chief of staff, because I thought she had left the position, but you told me she didn't. So he I think he keeps a close eye on who is accessible to her or not.
Yeah.
And so that
she knows who calls her. She knows who's messaging her or who's trying to get in touch with her.
Well, but I asked her to her face three times.
So she knew then, and she still blew you off.
And the next day, I called the office, and it's like they don't even know who I am.
Yeah, that's not right. It should. I mean, any elected official. I mean, I know, like we try getting in touch with the president. It's going to be real tough because they're super busy and all the stuff they're doing. But I mean, any elected official should be reachable, in my opinion. Okay. You should be able to call that office and get an immediate response from either the elected official or somebody in their office that's going to help you to do whatever they can to help you with your concerns or problems that you want to address. And that's one of my big things is I'm not part establishment. I don't care about all that. You know, I have made it very clear also about any big donors that want to come to me. Don't come to me asking for favors. If you're going to donate to my campaign, I mean, know that you're giving in good faith for me to go in there and do a good job, not to go in there and do favors. Right. And I mean, we've seen that time and time again with numerous elected officials here.
Well, they say one thing and then they do another. And,
exactly.
And then they act like they didn't do that.
Yeah. I mean, my opponent also, I mean, if you go look through her campaign finance reports and you see all the people that are on there, and then you see some of the people that have contracts with the county, I mean, put two and two together there. It's kind of odd.
Next question. Since this is a partisan race, what would you like to convey to the Democrat voters here in Bexar County?
To the Democrat voters,
because you're going to be representing all of them.
Exactly. I am conservative. There's never been any question about anybody except my opponent saying that I'm not a real Republican or I'm not a conservative. Everyone who knows me knows I'm a conservative. I'm like I said, I'm not for the establishment. I don't have an agenda. Well, I do have an agenda. I do have to admit that because someone called me out for it the other day. They said, we found out your true agenda and we're going to expose you. And I was like, okay, what's my agenda? Please break it to me. And they said, you're actually for us. And we're going to tell everyone that you're actually for us. And I was like, okay, that's a great agenda. That's how it should be. And I'm happy for that agenda. So, I mean, if you want to expose me, please, because people need to know that I am going to be their champion. I'm going to be there for them.
That's kind of one of the exposés that someone would actually like.
Yeah. I'm not going to go in there. I mean, okay, let's look at what Nelson Wolff did. One of the things that upset a lot of people, one of the reasons why I decided to run with the mask mandates and all that.
Yep.
Leaning on businesses and saying, we're going to fine you $1,000 per person who's in your store without a mask. I've gone in there and I've gone in there under a medical exemption without a mask, and people freak out. Cops have been called on me, and I've been thrown out of stores for not wearing a mask.
That's good. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I wanted to let the viewers know and the listeners know you are a former Texas peace officer, right?
I am.
Or are you currently peace officer?
I'm still a peace officer. I'm just not with an agency right now. But my license is up to date, and I am a licensed Texas peace officer right now.
I just want to say thank you for putting your life on the line to protect us here in San Antonio.
Thank you.
It's a huge job that gets little appreciation.
Yeah.
And of course, the uncensored voice. I make sure it's a point that I let law enforcement know that I support them, and I'm glad I can tell you directly. Thank you very much for putting your life on the line. And all of our San Antonio police officers, all of our peace officers in the state of Texas do a good job.
Yeah.
And they try to stay out of the political limelight and just do their job.
Yeah, for the most part.
According to the policies that they are required to follow under their chief, or in this case, sheriffs of this great state of Texas. So thank you for that. So does your law enforcement career have some bearing on the position that you're applying for?
It does. The only part that I can say really totally puts it in perspective with law enforcement is fairness. When we get a call, we're not asked, or we don't ask the dispatcher, hey, is it a Democrat or Republican? I'm going to.
Right.
Who's calling me? Is it someone who chanted F the police a week ago, or is it someone who was, throwing rocks at our car as we drove by? We don't ask that. We just go and we assess what's going on. We go in there and we fix the problem from what we can do right there on the spot. And we don't ask questions like that, what's your past? What did you do yesterday? Did you go online and say, defund the police or anything?
Yeah, you don't go. You follow the call and
exactly.
You do your job, and that's very admirable. But I had interviewed a little while back Sheriff Benny Martinez of Bexar County, Texas, who runs the area where the Valfurious checkpoint is at, and I thought he was a Republican when I went into his office. But he was very kind and very gracious to me. But he said, yes, I may be a Democrat, but we follow the letter of the law here in the state of Texas.
Exactly.
Republican or Democrat, it doesn't matter what type of sheriff you are, whatever party you are. We follow the law. We make sure our citizens are safe, Republicans and Democrats alike.
Yeah.
During the 21 years of the left-leaning governance in Bexar County judge position, can you tell me if a conservative county judge position would have a type of checks and balances effect with the city of San Antonio and other major metropolitan areas here in this county?
Well, I can assure you, with me as the sitting county judge, it would.
How do you keep them in check? Or how do you try to balance the political power of
there's a lot of different ways you can do that, I believe. First off, I don't have a relationship with the mayor, whereas my opponent does. She's been seen with him a lot of times in places even before she became the commissioner. She's in pictures, she's in the media with them. So I mean,
fancy restaurants?
I
don't know.
Expensive restaurants. She calls herself a fiscal conservative, but she likes to go eat at the most fancy, expensive places in town. I don't think that's too conservative, if you ask me. I mean, you're blowing money on something you can get from down the street for a lot cheaper. But I mean, that's neither here nor there. But there's a lot of things. I mean, I will be going against the mayor and the city council probably a lot, because the way, like you said, it's a left-leaning system the way we have right now set up here. And the way that's set up is it's either one way or no way. And that's not fair. It should be, like you said, you should be able to be fair to all the people. And that's my main message. That's my main thing I want to push out there is fairness. Like, okay, if you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. You know, if you don't want to wear a mask, don't wear one. If you want to shut your business down because you feel that, you know, that's the safe thing to do, then that's what you do with your business. No one should be forcing anyone to do anything. You shouldn't be threatening people that we're going to shut your electricity off and shut your water off to your business if you stay open. And we're going to give you fines every single day that you... I mean, that's ridiculous. To me, that's tyrannical. And that's borderline communism, if you ask me.
Right. Now, I've seen a lot of official orders posted on businesses in Bexar County, said by order of County Judge Nelson Wolf, that you must have a mask on. I understand in government buildings and such, but if you were to be elected to the Bexar County Judge position, what would be your policy on masks and vaccination cards? I don't think we have vaccination card requirements here, but
not yet. I'm sure they'll try.
But it could happen, and if your Democrat opponent goes into office. But what you can just call that off, right? Once you become elected.
I would. I mean, to me,
or would you defer to Bexar County Health? Or
to me, it's not the place of the county judge to do that. I mean, I understand the county judge can make executive orders for the county, and they can pass, you know, for certain things. And I understand when tragedies happen or a tornado hits or something, and you need to declare an emergency order and stuff like that. I mean, to me, that's understandable. But as far as forcing people to do something they're not comfortable with doing, I mean, I have a problem with. And a lot of people have problems with that.
Well, my personal issue with it, if I may, is it's almost 2 years now and they're still doing it.
Yeah.
I could see a whole year, and then hopefully some progress has been made with vaccinations. Exactly. We decide to take them or not. I don't think they should be forced to anybody.
Exactly.
But I don't want to be ostracized for not wanting to have a vaccine.
Yeah.
So please don't make me. But
exactly.
If you want one, you're welcome to.
Yeah, like that's my exact message. Like if you want it, me personally, I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to take it. Me and I've spoken with my doctor. Me and my family have discussed it. We're not going to take it. That's our decision. That's something we discussed with our medical professional, which should be done. The county judge is not a medical professional. I mean, I know they get advice from medical professionals, but what's one doctor for the whole entire county? You know what I mean? That's
right.
I mean, like Dr. Fauci also, what's he for the entire country to say that we all need it and we can't work or we can't go eat at a place or we can't work out in the gym if we don't have a vaccine? I mean, that's crazy to me.
Well, I don't know if this is an exact quote from the White House or not, but they said that more along the lines of they were pandering to vaccinated Americans and criticizing non-vaccinated Americans. And it's just further dividing our country up.
It is.
But everything that we can make changes with starts with grassroots. And in this case, City of San Antonio and Bexar County.
Exactly.
That's how it starts. So you start from the bottom up because the administration is already what it is.
Yeah.
And the Constitution gives them 4 years. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah. One of the biggest things I am going to be doing with this office is it's going to go back to the people. They're going to have the true say. They're the boss of the elected officials, and a lot of elected officials have lost that sight, that direction. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They've lost that, and they think that they're high and mighty. I mean, look at my opponent. She is unreachable. You can't talk to her really. I mean, you got to try to chase her to find her. You know, I talked to someone who said that she had to pretty much stalk her to find her at a place and get to talk to her there. And I mean, you shouldn't have to do that. And this office will go back to the people. That's the way it's going to be. I mean, if the people want to have a certain way, then let's vote on it, and let's like with raises. I mean, how can you give yourself a raise every year, every other year, $10,000, $15,000 raise, whatever, with bonuses? Or can you go walk into your job and tell them, hey, I'm going to give myself a raise?
You sure can't. I can't do that.
I mean, to me, that's the people's decision, whether we've done a good enough job to get a raise or not. And I think the pay's already crazy for an elected official for commission.
Don't forget, if we get to adjust for inflation, almost 7%.
Yeah.
My gosh. So what are your plans for Bexar County as far as cooperation with the Bexar County Sheriff's Department? Sheriff Salazar is a Democrat. If you get county judge as a Republican, how does that work out?
It would depend on him and his attitude and how he wants to approach it. I can tell you that I'm the only one that can probably fix any problems that are happening at the jail right now, because I'm the only one with law enforcement experience. I'm the only one that truly wants to go in there and fix things. My opponent, her first week or second week on the job, it was her first official vote, was to not pay deputies overtime that they already worked for. Salazar went in there and asked, I think, for like $2 million to pay the deputies overtime that they already worked for, and she said no. So I mean,
I remember that meeting.
How are you going to sit there and all these deputies did all this work, they stayed away from their families for all these hours, they're working 16, 18-hour shifts. How are you going to tell them, no, you can't get your pay that you worked for? I mean, can you imagine how many lawsuits are going to come in if they didn't get paid that money?
Well, it would probably go to a federal level at that point.
Yeah, it'd be a class action
You work
lawsuit.
and you don't get paid.
And it's going to cost a lot more than $2 million in overtime. I can guarantee that.
I did. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I did a FOIA request on Bexar County Sheriff's Department detention center overtime expenditures, and it's in the millions of dollars.
Yeah.
I think Judge Wolf has repeatedly approved Sheriff Salazar's request for money over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, even Judge Wolf told the sheriff, you need to start retaining your deputies. I can only do this for so long. It's starting to look bad.
Yeah.
I don't know how many millions of dollars total right now. It's been a long time since I did the request, but it's a serious issue.
Mm-hmm.
And Bexar County taxpayer John Q. Public is spending all this money for deputies that go in and out of like a rotating door so fast,
Mm-hmm.
out of the academy, out of the force, and the
Yeah.
academy, out of the force. And so the solution is to retain those deputies and not work them to death, but get enough amount of deputies so that way there's enough
Yeah.
at any given time.
The way I believe to fix that, I mean, there's a lot of moving parts to it, and a lot more than what I'm going to say. But just, I think the overall way to retain deputies is to make them happy. And you keep deputies you keep them happy by good work hours. I mean, if you're being forced, if you're forced overtime, mandatory overtime, that doesn't make people too happy. You have to sit there and be away from your family longer. Yeah, you're making good money doing it, but it gets boring. It gets old fast, and that's why a lot of these deputies. He's graduating a lot of academies. He is. Salazar is pushing out academies like crazy. But you have to also remember, Bexar County is one of the lowest paid. It is the lowest paid sheriff's office in the state of Texas per capita. And that's one of the big problems right there. I mean, there's no reason why our sheriff's office should be paid so low. There's no reason why our constable should be paid so low. And that's one thing I would do is I would probably throw a little, it's going to hurt for a second, the way I want to approach this, because we're going to have to throw more money at it. We need raises for these deputies to keep them retained. We have to make them happy. And you're not going to keep good candidates or good deputies in there if they're not getting paid the right amount. First off, they're having to work all these hours for low pay. And then when they get the overtime, that's when they start getting the good pay. They should already get good pay to start off with, I believe.
100% agree.
And so, it's going to hurt a little bit at first, but we need to kind of get over that wave. This is a problem it's gone out of control already.
It has.
We have to be able to figure out a way how to sit there and actually do it. And, it's crazy because the county has the money to do it, but they don't do it. I don't know why. And they gave, I believe it was a 5% raise over 4 years or something like that. They just passed it. That's not even enough to keep up with the cost of living. I can't believe, when I heard that, I was like, 5%? Oh, are you joking? Even if it's for 1 year, that's a joke. 5%?
Berks County Sheriff Benny Martinez, so we talked very briefly about that. He said that, and this was actually a side conversation I had with him after the interview, he asked me about Sheriff Salazar, and I told him what I thought at that time. But what Bexar County has done is they're getting so many inmates that they're actually going out to other counties, and our county is paying those counties for the upkeep of those prisoners.
Yeah.
And so that's also all the money that is being not put to good use because maybe our jail isn't up to standard. Or are you aware of the Bexar County Jail Detention Center being up to standard? Or not?
I know they did fail an inspection. I believe might have been last year. I don't know the exact date, but they did fail an inspection, and it's been a while since they failed.
Overcrowding or the infrastructure type?
I don't know if it was the infrastructure or if it was the actual just the conditions of the facility, but it did fail, and it hasn't failed in years through many different sheriffs. And a lot of people saw that and they were like, "Whoa, wait a minute! What's going on here? Let's fix this. There's a problem." And I mean, it could be out of date. I mean, I wouldn't doubt that it is. It's been there forever. But I know my opponent was pushing hard for privatization of the jail. She wants to be in control of the jail also. She believes that commissioners should be in control of the jail, and that's not the way it works.
That's not a good idea.
No. I think she slipped up when she said that on video, but luckily I got the video to back up what I'm saying.
So it was kind of a Freudian slip on her part. She said it even though she didn't mean to say it, because that's probably what she was thinking.
Low-key, Nelson Wolff has been trying to push for privatization for a while. Commissioner's Court has been trying to push for it. I know Paula Elizondo was trying to push for it also. I mean, they never straight up came out and said it, but they were, let's kind of hint at it a little bit. And you don't need civilians running the jail. I'm sorry. Once you do that, then it's really going to go downhill.
Well, the standards are lesser for civilians running this type of jail as opposed to a sworn deputy or a sworn detention officer. It's like
I think Salazar can get a hold of it, but it's going to take a lot of teamwork on both sides with Commissioner's Court, the county judge, and the sheriff to sit down and actually put a game plan together, and I don't think that's been done yet.
I think what I'm seeing here, and maybe you would probably know more than I would, I think there's like a honeymoon effect going on with Bexar County Judge, Bexar County Sheriff, and Bexar County District Attorney. I think, and they're all Democrats, and so everybody makes everybody happy, and everybody does what they want. In their own offices. Joe decides who to prosecute, and Sheriff Salazar decides whatever goes on in his jail, and Sheriff Salazar goes to Judge Wolff, asks for money. Okay, here's your money, and it's like an effect of the political machine.
Well, I think the honeymoon ended with Salazar and Wolff when the Black Rifle thing took effect, when he was asking for the vote. And I took a stance on that. I believe the sheriff's office should have their own equipment. It's embarrassing, actually, when a county of our size and as much money as we bring in has to ask other entities, can we borrow your boat? We shouldn't have to. And then on top of that, someone donated it. Black Rifle Coffee Company donated it to the sheriff, to the county, for the people, is what they were doing it for. Donates that boat, and then they still, nope. That's right there where I can differ from my opponents, because I know what it's like to be out there without equipment. I know what it's like to have a crappy laptop in my patrol car and crash on me in the middle of a traffic stop.
So your life is on the line, and your equipment is substandard.
Exactly.
And you need instant and good quality equipment.
Yeah, and just like there was a big tussle with getting body cameras for the deputies. You were pulling teeth from the Commissioner's Court to try to. We need body cameras. If you want accountability, start recording everything. And we need to have and it's proven effective. It's proven to show a lot of things that happen.
Every citizen has a camera.
Yeah.
Every citizen has a phone, and for I think that if the Bexar County Sheriff's Department does not have these cameras, which I'm presuming they don't, because you just told me that they don't, but I think San Antonio does. San Antonio Police does.
They
right?
do. The sheriff's office does have cameras right now. I believe Salazar's asking for maybe more upgraded cameras.
For more money.
More money. There's a point where you got to stop, and say, okay, wait a minute, let's back up here for one thing I suggested when I was running for constable was Salazar didn't. When Pamerlou was the sheriff, she had purchased cameras. The county gave her the funds for it. She purchased a certain set of cameras, but she wasn't able to implement them. Her term had expired, and she left office. And when Salazar came in, he didn't like those cameras.
Oh, he did?
And so we had already spent a few $1 million on those cameras. And when he comes in, he didn't like those cameras, so he wanted different ones. I'm like, these cameras are just sitting over here on the shelf, not being utilized. What's going to happen with those cameras? And no one had an answer. No one knew what was going to happen with those cameras.
To your knowledge, are those cameras still sitting there, or did they just sell them to somebody?
I never
To
followed
another
through with
agency,
that.
maybe?
What I suggested, though, was because none of the constables had cameras, and the county kept giving, the commissioner's court kept saying, no, we're not going to give you funding for cameras. And I was like, okay, well, all these cameras are sitting there on the shelf just collecting dust. Give those to the constables, give Salazar what he wants, give him a different set of cameras that he wants, whatever, and everyone can be happy. All the constables can have body cameras also. Everyone can be accountable for what they're doing out there. You know, people are like, what are y'all doing out there? You're not wearing a camera. You got to be doing something shady. That's the mentality the public has now.
So is there something to hide, and probably that's why you don't want a camera.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
So I mean,
so we try to think that our law enforcement has a lot of integrity.
Yeah.
And I want to trust that Sheriff Salazar is doing the right thing, but what I see and what he says are two different things. So I think there's an election coming up pretty soon for him, and we'll see what happens.
yeah, 2024 or so.
A lot's going to happen in 2024. Oh my goodness.
I believe so.
I want to be a busy man. My goodness. So does Bexar County need attention to its own internal infrastructure, you know, like roads and bridges? And
Oh,
stuff
absolutely.
Like that? Are they lacking in that? Is it something
Yes,
that's really
that,
much needed? Because I talked about this with city council candidates, and all of them agreed.
Yeah, it's getting bad here. To me, it reminds me of Los Angeles a little bit. We're getting too many people, and our roads aren't equipped to handle them. I mean, you go somewhere 2, 3 o'clock on the weekday, and you get on the freeway, you're dead stop traffic most of the time, or you're at a snail's pace, you know.
Right.
So I mean, we got to do something. We're supposed to be getting, I believe, over 1 million people in the next 10 to 20 years. I believe it's going to be more people, and I believe it's going to be sooner than that. If you ask me, that's my opinion. Because we're getting people here every single day. We're getting tons of people coming from different states. And
Texas is becoming very popular. These
exactly,
days.
for good reason. And something needs to be done about these roads. And I mean, a lot of the roads we go down, I mean, like drive through the medical center. And it's one of the bumpiest roads you can go down, going down Wurzbach when you get by the hospitals.
Yeah.
And I'm shocked because I'm like, okay, this is where sick people are coming to the hospital. They might have a gunshot wound, or, you know, their appendix might be bursting, or, you know, something.
They
They're
hit
in
a big
pain.
bump.
And they're hitting all these bumps going through there. And I'm like, I would think they'd have smoother roads here, but they don't. So, I mean,
that's still an issue then,
Yeah.
with infrastructure. And of course, city council, I don't know what they're doing. I think my own district person, District 7, Anna Sandoval, I wanted to talk to her about something else.
Good luck
And
getting her on the phone also.
I never did. I only get her staff members. Only at one time did I get her at the point, so because she had no choice. I guess she was up for election. But
I've reached out to her also, and I can't get a hold of her or anyone with their staff. They take my message and don't hear anything back.
They redirect me to her issues with sidewalks in the district. So I just, I'm like, I appreciate that you want to talk about that, but that's not what I want to talk about now.
Yeah.
I want to talk about something else, but they spin it with me all the time. This is my own councilwoman. So can you briefly touch on, is there property taxes would come under Bexar County Judge purview or Commissioner's Court purview? Because property taxes are going out the roof.
I don't really have a word to say. The word I say, it's screwed up. I'll just come out blunt and say it. Our taxes here are screwed up, and they need to be fixed. They are, okay, well, my opponent the other day did an interview, and she said that she was able by herself to get a tax decrease for all of us here in Bexar County, a property tax decrease, which it wasn't by herself because you need 3 out of 5 to vote for it to go through. So it wasn't her by herself. And the tax decrease that they got, I mean, there's a chart. It's been decreasing for years. Our property taxes have been decreasing for years, even before she came into office, years before she came into office. So the property taxes are going down, but the appraisal value is going up, skyrocketing through the roof for homes and properties.
I hear many different formulas going around, and all of them have never, may or may not come to fruition, but people are talking about it. Texas House, District 22 is talking about it, because that's a big chunk of, where we have to be concerned about that, because everybody, that was their only question. What do you do about my property taxes? So a lot of ideas are being floated around, and I'm sure that falls under some type of purview under the Commissioner's Court for the tax, the Bexar County part of it.
For the appraisal value, I mean, my opponent even sits on the Bexar County Appraisal District Board, I mean, to me, that's a conflict of interest to have an elected official sitting on there. To me, it should probably be a citizen panel of some sort, because they're the ones that have to pay the fee at the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah, I
And
think so,
I
right?
mean, with renters also, the rent's going up on people because landlords got to pay more in property taxes. And people are like, no, it's an appraisal value that's raising. It's not taxes that are raising. No, if you pay more, you're paying more taxes, in my opinion.
Well, one leads directly into the other.
Exactly.
You have
So I
to be
mean,
taxed.
there's something that can be done, but people want their pockets lined. That's my opinion. And
Well, it's clear
What-
to see, because when we had that winter freeze, the money set by for that never got spent on anything, but maybe getting pockets lined is all I'm thinking, because people, I know of 2 or 3 people, a friend of mine in City Council District 2, 2 or 3 people actually died of cold because of this irresponsibility of how the money was not spent proactively to be set up for an emergency like this. Nothing happened, and they blamed everybody except themselves.
yeah, and then
So-
CPS came after us saying, well, we're going to raise the rates on you for those few days that the power was going down. So they wanted to increase the rates for those few days also. I mean, ridiculous amounts, to where bills were going to be in the thousands. And they're like, well, we'll work with you and get you on a payment plan, though. No, that's not helping anybody. And we're not going to pay you so you can get your CEOs that get paid $500,000 already a year, and then they get like another $200,000, $300,000 bonus on top. No, why don't you cut your pay and help the people, is what you should do.
Any deaths attributed to that freeze, the blood is on their hands.
Exactly.
Because that was kind of completely unnecessary death as a direct result of no electricity, and I froze to death.
I agree.
You know, your government is held accountable for that, because they had the money, and
Yeah.
nothing was done because they thought it was never going to happen. Well, it did,
Yeah.
and this was this time last year. You know, pretty
Exactly.
much.
And we were fortunate enough. We have a fireplace in our house also. So and we didn't lose any power, thank God. But if we did, we had a fireplace to keep warm. So, but I mean, it's not everyone's that fortunate. People live in apartments. People live in homes without fireplaces, and what are you going to do? I mean, the Farmer's Almanac is estimating that we're going to have another winter freeze like that again. Are we prepared for it? I don't think we are.
Well, I'll be on my elected officials for that. And,
Yeah.
And I hope that this is on the mind of the Bexar County voter when they make their decision.
Yeah.
For your office that you're running for, and all the other offices.
And make a decision to get a generator while you can right now before they sell out.
Yes, because it's a hot market right now for those.
Yeah.
Is there anything you would like to say to the Bexar County voter that we haven't covered?
I think we've covered a lot today, but I can guarantee you that I will be different from any other politician that's been out there who has run for office or has been in office here locally at the state level. I'm not a politician by any means. I am the average Joe. I not only stand with y'all, I am y'all. I'm just an average person running for this office who's upset with everything that I've seen, and I'm sure a lot of y'all are upset as well. And I humbly ask for y'all's vote, because we need change. This way of doing things in politics hasn't worked for years, and it's not going to work now. If you vote the same, you're going to get the same. And like I said, I have no political connections to anybody. I'm not taking money from big donors. I'm not taking money from big corporations, no establishments, nothing. If regular people want to give me donations and want me to do a good job, that's what I'm here for. If you want favors from me, you're barking up the wrong tree, because I'm not in the business of doing favors. But we need to get rid of these politicians that have continuously done the same thing over and over again. We need someone new in there. We need an outsider, a true champion of the people, and that would be me. And like I said, I would apply my background from law enforcement to this job, because we approach it not asking what side of the fence you're on. We don't approach it asking, what have you done yesterday or what are you doing tomorrow? We go and we fix the situation right then and there the best we can. And that's how I want to do this. I want to go in there and I want to fix things that have been broken for many years now, like our taxes, our appraisal values, our water rates, our electric bills. I mean, everything's rising on us right now. Even if you're a renter, you notice, I'm sure your landlord's raising the rent on you. So we need to get that done. We need to get that fixed, and I can get in there and I can guarantee that I will get it fixed. I owe nobody any favors, so I'm not bought and paid for, and I can go in there and I can stir the pot a little bit and get things done. So if you can vote for me, I would really appreciate it.
This is Randolph Macias of the Uncensored Voice. Thank you very much for your listenership. Thank you very much for your viewership. and I'm not on the camera, but I am talking to you, my viewers and listeners. But thank you. God bless you. God bless the great state of Texas and this beautiful country, our United States of America. Thank you very much, Dave.
Thank you.